Hey, Smelly Dale. Do you know what a nerdy 30 is?
I think so, Cheryl. Nerdy 30, a rare and highly contagious condition where an individual's love of obscure comic book series, vintage computer hardware, and 80s pop culture becomes so intense that their body begins to involuntarily shift into a state of perpetual nerdiness. Symptoms include irrepressible urges to recite entire scripts from Tron or The Princess Bride, spontaneous combustion of nearby calculators or gaming consoles, uncontrollable bursts of trivia about the entirety of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Treatment options are limited, but experts recommend embracing the nerdy 30 and allowing it to run its course, as attempts to suppress it may result in catastrophic nerd-induced side effects.
No, you fart brain. A Nerdy 30 is an episode of the Nerd School podcast, where many of the Nerd School team are super busy, doing other stuff like work or vacations or breakdancing at a club. So two of them get together for 30 minutes to talk about nerd shiznit. It's usually current event type nerd shit, brah. It's dope AF.
Ooh, that sounds cool. My nipples are hard. I could cut glass with these nips. I can't wait for the next Nerdy 30 from Nerd School podcast to drop.
Well, you're in luck, shit for brains, because it's about to drop right now.
Shit for brains?
This is a podcast from the Queen City Podcast Network.
Artstar is a Sith, and he has very sexy thigh meat.
TBJ is a badass.
Joe is a real man.
Professor Andy likes donuts.
I was up until about almost 5 this morning, finishing it.
Oh, Andor?
Andor. So then I went right back. Like I've seen Rogue One. I've seen it before.
Okay, yeah,
I was late
too.
to the party watching it.
Oh, it was great.
But I felt like, what would Joe do in this instant? Joe would go straight in. He would be like, well, I just finished Andor.
Yeah.
And so end of Andor takes place right, it juxtaposes and butts up right against Rogue One.
It does.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start watching Rogue One. So I started Rogue One. You know what? I need to take my ass to sleep. So I went to sleep. I woke up today, dicked around for a little bit. Like I literally just finished Rogue One probably about an hour and a half ago.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You finished it?
When Rogue One ended, my brain was almost like, now I want to go watch A New Hope. So it's just like, it's that you get that feeling.
You get
where
into
it's
it.
Like,
you're in the story. You're
right.
in the world.
And it's crazy because I'm wondering if he knew when he did, because I knew Rogue One came out in, I think, 2016. So, like, having the idea you were going to do 2 seasons of Andor, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like...
and now everybody, I'm sure...
Like,
I was going to say, I'm sure everybody wants a season 3 of Andor, but if season 2 jumps right into Rogue One, then you can't really do season 3 unless season 3 is some other time.
But it's also just like... Here's the thing with Star Wars. And Star Wars is you have canon... Then you have legend, right?
Yeah.
So you have like right now. I just read yesterday that they're coming up with a new series. Like literally, the headline was there's a new series coming out that takes place between episodes 5 and 6. And I'm like, oh, and yes, I'm automatically thinking it was a TV series.
Yeah, I saw that headline.
It's a comic series.
Oh, it's a comic series. That headline keeps confusing me too.
I mean, the Darth Vader. I don't know if it's his first comic series, but I want to say it's his Marvel series. Like that Darth Vader series takes place. I fucking forgot where it starts at. But it's one of those moments where it's like you don't see Vader for a while, and it's like the whole showing what happened to Vader from this point to that point until you see him again, kind of thing. So like a lot of these comics, not only do they do it with Star Wars, they do it with like other IPs where it's like how you get from even Marvel sometimes will come out with like prequel comics to like their blockbuster movies, but like sometimes there's like, okay, this is what happens between this time frame and that time frame. Here's the comic backstory, so you
Yeah.
can sit there and figure out what this person was doing while this was going on. Which is
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
cool thing is that's what they used to do with their Netflix, which now Netflix now, I guess they're on Disney Plus now. Comics, I mean, yeah, comic series. It would be like
So they
this is
would
what's
do that
going
with,
on
you're
while
talking Luke Cage,
like
Daredevil,
Daredevil and
Jessica
all that.
Jones,
So while everything was going on with the big Avengers stuff, this is what was happening in the background down on the ground.
and they would do
You know,
comic
and then
books
I
of
well,
those.
no, this would actually be actual series. Like,
Yeah.
like in Jessica Jones, Daredevil, they will reference the thing that happened in Avengers.
Oh, gotcha,
The
gotcha,
Shield,
gotcha.
Same thing.
I thought you were
And
saying they did comic books
well, but
about those.
comic books, a lot of these shows and movies, there are comics where it kind of quote unquote tries to tie up or gives you stuff to fill out the gaps in
Okay.
between shows and series.
Now is it
Like even
how
go
come
ahead.
sometimes
Mhm.
the comic books are drawn like the movie characters, other times they're not? Is it so only if they look like Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow in the comic, those are the only ones that go along in this MCU
I
universe?
don't think
Or
I don't know if that could be just artistic integrity or artistic thing.
okay, it doesn't
Like
really have
it's one of
anything
those
to do with
things where
that.
like this artist decides to draw, Nick Fury look like Sam Jackson or this character look like that character, and another person his style like Andy's best friend, Mr. Liefeld, probably decided to draw his character look like this. So it's like it just whatever the artist decided to do in that moment.
So do you
I mean,
know
it just so
if
I.
like I don't know how much you know about the back end of comic book drawings, but like
Mhm.
do do they I assume that they use some sort of like computers and stuff, right? So like you as the artist might draw the character once or twice, but then don't you do they just feed that into a computer now and the computer generates what's actually happening now, or do they
Yeah,
actually draw
they would
panel
like
by
so you would
panel?
you they would draw the panel and then they would have it inked, colored, and then it's scanned in.
And then okay, all that gets
Yeah,
but
right,
but they actually draw the whole panel. Like they draw
right,
artistically what's happening
right,
in each one. Okay.
right. I mean,
I didn't know.
there's probably some artists out there who uses the computer to do their imagery. So
I would
it's depending
imagine
on.
the more you draw, like if you've done 500 comics in your life,
Uh-huh.
you have probably I would think like somewhere on your computer or iPad or whatever you use, whatever software you use, you can
Mhm.
probably use your artistic integrity to pretty much draw anything, I would guess. So I don't know. I
Right.
would think like can a computer just say, okay, use my designs,
Yeah,
but
but
create I
like
don't know if it can do that. I don't know.
I don't know of any artist who would want to do that.
Yeah, because that takes
Like
away the integrity of the
it's
art, right? It's not art anymore.
yeah,
Or
but then
is it? I don't know.
it's like you would want to like let's say you try to find something to make like let's say if you're doing let's say if you had to do multiples or something because like
Yeah.
back in the day you used to have this tool that you could get that you could mail away for and you could probably still find it in some art stores where
Yeah.
you would draw an image and as you would draw the image it would multiply the image next to it or something.
Huh.
But like for the most part, once you like, if you ever watch a comic artist draw, like what because they do these things with repetitiously. That's what like if you go like a Comic Con or something. These guys they're sitting there drawing, and they may say come back tomorrow because they're doing so many different sketches or whatever.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they're sitting there while they're sitting there, boom, they're knocking the drawings out really fast. I used to
Yeah.
go to school with this guy. We was like in the 10th grade, I think. And this dude, drawing for him was just like an extreme hobby. But he was so good. Like he could draw a caricature of you in like less than 10 minutes, no problem.
Wow.
And it would look immaculate. But he would dick around a lot. Like him looking like whatever. Yeah, boom, there it was. Yeah, that was boom, and it like so. And to me, I think I always tell people I think I got ADHD or just something like my brain. I can, like I have to focus, you know, and so it's like
to be
I'll
able to
sit there.
draw.
Well, not even that. Just like sometimes because I'm so much be going on, I be doing this. I remember one time one of my professors, I wasn't even. I think I was. It was like a work study moment. I didn't have anything to do. I was sitting in the office and I was working on a homework assignment, and he happened to come in, saw me working on an assignment, and was drawing a pine cone, and he could see that I was overthinking. He was like, "Arthur, stop overthinking and just draw." Cause like while I was sitting, I was drawing, but I also had other things in my mind. I was just
Yeah.
doing too much. Where like your
Yeah.
mind has to be clear, and like sometimes some people sit there just do it so fast. It's like so. It's one of those things where being a comic artist takes a lot. Like you
Yeah.
have to be able to like you're up against deadlines. You know you have to be quick. You know you can't like it can be an intense thing, and then you like it's practice, repetition.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I would think that kind of takes the art out of it for you, or
well,
the
no,
not
because
the art, but the
if you love to
enjoyment.
draw, it doesn't take it out of it. Like especially if you're doing something you love to do, like if you playing sports, if you play baseball, basketball, like if you
But
love
if it
just
becomes work, it takes the love out of it, doesn't
yeah, but
it?
if
Sometimes
it's nah, not necessarily.
you hear people say,
It's only when I guess it depends on who you working for,
"Yeah, I guess,
right?
yeah, that's true." If you're gonna be a dick to me, then you know, I guess
Yeah.
if you're gonna be miserable to me, then it takes the fun out of it. Like, yeah, I've had points where theater is my job, and
Mm.
I went into this thinking if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. But I happen to find the monotonous parts of the job that are like they're shitty parts. So they're like redlining contracts, going line by line through contracts, and that is monotonous and awful, and I hate it. So I don't know if I've just like because that's just part of the job,
Uh-huh.
but have I done it so long that I'm burned out and it's like I've turned what I love into something I hate. Like you hear about people like Andy. Look at Andy when he got out of the comic book business. He hasn't read a comic in like 20 years because
Right.
he was so burned out and overwhelmed by the comic book machine of have this done and write this review and get this done. And then it takes something he loved as a child to like, I fucking hate
And
comics.
destroyed it.
And I'm like,
Right.
so I guess you're right. It's like the circumstances around it. So as long as you can keep grounded and
Mm.
get your enjoyment out of it, that's probably true for anything in life, really. Like I don't know, when I was young, when I first started driving a car, I remember I loved to drive. Like I love driving. Anywhere we went, I'm driving. We go on a trip, I'm gonna drive the whole way. Like, don't you want to split this up? And no, I want to drive. We go up to a cabin in Michigan. I'm gonna drive 4 hours. I like driving. I like being on the highway. But then, after years and years and years of doing it utilitarianly, like for work and being stuck in traffic and in the heat and bullshit, then I fuck hate driving,
Mhm.
like but it's like anything you love, you can ruin yourself by either overdoing it or the circumstances during it. But I think I don't know, like anything, you keep a good head about it, keep a good positive attitude, you can kind of get through maybe anything. But
Right.
are you drawing? Are you still is TBJ still keeping you honest about continuing with your artistry and drawing and creating?
She, 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 she does. She does. But I feel like she got busy.
Yeah.
So, but in her defense, she still lights a fire under me. Um, she does.
Do you
But
have I guess my question is, do you have something you're working on right now?
right now, I have blank canvas in my head,
In your
and I
head?
have in my head.
It's
But,
blank?
but, but, but I have a long-term project on my iPad
Oh.
that I've been working on.
So
Um,
do you use an app, like a drawing app?
Procreate.
What's it called?
Procreate. Procreate.
So I wonder if that's what I saw. So I was at this conference last week, and there was a young lady sitting next to me. She was an intern, so she was probably college age or just out of college. And I meant to ask her, but she disappeared. But during this conference, it was like, we're listening to people speak, and she was like doodling on her iPad. I thought she was taking notes. I was like, what is she taking notes on? I looked, and she was drawing with her iPad, like drawing but she was very meticulous about it. It was like something that I could see you. I mean, I don't know what your besides comic book type stuff. I don't know what your thing is, but it was sort of a pattern. It looked like it would have been a painting, but she was like very meticulously like looking at it. She'd like draw like one little like shading, and she'd look back and then look at it, and she would like you could see her like coming up with an idea in her head,
studying it,
like nodding to herself. Yeah, that's next, and then go to a whole nother part of the page and shading that right there. And I was just like, to me, it was fascinating watching her brain work. But I didn't know she was nodding at the speaker, because sometimes it'd be the speaker says something poignant. So she was actually listening also. I could tell she was listening, but then other times she would nod and it wouldn't make sense to what the speaker was saying. So then I noticed she's probably nodding to herself saying, yes, I'm going to draw this line now or whatever. But it looked like sort of like a series of vines and flowers type of thing pattern. And it was very, very meticulously shaded. Like it was really good. But I wanted to ask, like, oh, what are you working on? Is that just doodling, or is it for fun, or whatever? But I never, and then I never saw her again. So I never had a chance to talk to her. But so those kind of things, I always forget that those exist. And so I love that you're using those. Are you using it enough? Do you ever just
here's the
fuck
thing.
around, or do you just make masterpieces?
So when I was in school, like I started off as, I think I told this story a long time ago, but like when I started off in school, my major at the time was graphic design.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And so, I was taking all of took the beginning basics like Photoshop, Illustrator, things like that.
Yeah, all that
introduction to computer art. And I was acing these classes because I've always loved computers.
Okay.
But then there was that part of my brain that was like, I'm on a computer.
Yeah.
Like I want paint on my hands, charcoal. So I changed from computer art to visual art using, fine art. So I was, not using the computer as much. So I was doing mostly everything where I was using physical media, right?
Yeah.
So I got out of the habit of using those programs. Fast forward to like now, we're using tablets and smartphones, and they have like digital apps. Like Procreate has a lot of methods that you can use with it. Use like clippings and masks and things like that, which is kind of similar to what I used to use when I was using Photoshop, but like over time software evolved. So with when I was in art school, I remember for one of my liberal arts class, did this wide story like about the Three Little Pigs, and I wrote the story and I illustrated it, and so when I illustrated, I was like, well, this gave me an excuse to use the computer lab because I haven't been, I have access to the computer lab. I might as well use it. So I, went, scanned it in, dicked around in Photoshop, and I'm like, oh, Photoshop has changed a lot. But I basically colored in the image, done that project. But then again, stopped using Photoshop. Fast forward, I'm out of school, got computers. I seem like every time I get a laptop, I put a version of Photoshop in it. I'm gonna play around with it, and didn't do too much in Photoshop. I would, let's say I took pictures of something, I maybe try to manipulate them or something. Still wouldn't use Photoshop as much as I did when I was in school. Fast forward again to now, I get an iPad, and before Procreate, there was Like I said, an Android tablet. I think it's one app called SketchUp, and it's another one called Infinite Painter that I used to use. And like so, these you could use like a stylus and do all of these things. You
Yeah.
create layers. Like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Procreate comes out once I got an iPad, and like Procreate has it's a whole suite of different things you can do with your iPad and with using the pencil, a stylus. You can do clippings and mask layers, and it's just so much you can do. And it's like, so then I'm like, hey, well, okay, I'm gonna start learning this. So pandemic hit, and I was doing like did like like the Skillshare 90-day trial or whatever it was, and so like every day I was on there learning how to use Procreate,
Huh.
and I'm like, yeah, I can do this on my own. So I just started messing around, got bored with it pretty quick because it's still just like it's you know, it just wasn't. I couldn't. I felt like I was cheating a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like the way my brain works. It's always like I'm taking a shortcut out of doing things. So it's like, and it took some, and then so it's just listening to people, talking to like even a lot of times, you know how like your first interaction, or your first, I guess, what's the word I want to use? Your first, what's the word I want to use? Your first
Experience.
ruminations in your mind that you wanted to create this podcast
Oh yeah.
was seeing TBJ and I having a light discourse about the light and the dark side of the force.
Yeah. Right.
But in our truthfulness and faithfulness, me and TBJ, like TBJ has me on book talk, right? Like I love reading books, but TBJ introduced me to book talk, right?
And
But
remind me about what book talk is that?
book
Is it TikTok
it's
still? Part
TikTok.
of TikTok?
It's TikTok. It's a part of TikTok, but
Yeah.
it's a part of TikTok where everyone share and discuss books. So it's a book community.
Oh, gotcha.
Like so, even though I don't collect, like even though you want to call me a collector, and so, I haven't bought anything, and I haven't grabbed
Oh, you're
I
a
haven't picked
collector,
up
my friend.
in a long time, Joe. It's been a long time. But like I even hang out in figure talk or fake talk or whatever you want to call it. But
What'd you say? Figure talk?
I think I just call it figure talk or fake talk.
Fig talk?
But it's what like all of the collectors be over there. You know, us
Yeah.
old men and women talking toys.
Yeah, I started
Uh,
getting that on is that Facebook that I see that
uh
mostly? A little bit of TikTok, but like Facebook shows me a bunch of like GI Joe communities and things like
yeah,
that. Like there's this, I mean this was might have been TikTok. This guy was like, "Man, I can't take my wife anywhere. We're on a walk and here she is." And he shows her, she's on the ground, they're in the woods, and she's got a little action figure of a pony.
and then he's taking a picture of a GI Joe.
Yeah, you saw that
Yeah,
same
yeah,
one. And
yeah.
luckily I got my Joes. Yeah, it's so funny how we all see the same TikToks. Yeah, and then he's got yeah, but here I am. But luckily I got my Joes, and I was like, oh, so jealous of that guy. And I see a lot of these pictures of people with their GI Joes out in the woods, and a lot of people with their
Yeah, fake
uh
photography is big,
with what is
big.
that thing that I have? The Terradrome. I see
Uh,
people with their Terradrome out in the woods, and I was like, oh, I got a Terradrome. I found mine in my mom's. My mom cleaned out her house. It was in the attic, so I brought it home. I was gonna try to sell it, but now it's just right up here in my attic. I don't know if I've shown you it, or in my garage.
uh,
See that up there?
yeah,
The Terradrome. Did you have that?
I did not.
You want to play with it? You want to come over and play
I'm
G.I.
good, bro.
Joe's?
So listen. So back to my TBJ story.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but TBJ, as like you actually has she been like getting on? I won't say
Yeah.
getting on me, but like
Yeah, I don't say getting
you
on
know,
you, but wasn't she
yeah,
like
but
checking
like
in with you weekly or
yeah,
periodically
yeah.
to see? Yeah.
So we like we always have this like we were always having discussions about creatives and creative.
Yeah, you need to get your
Creative, yeah,
outlet
being
going, or
creative
it's
and yeah.
unhealthy.
Right,
Yeah,
right, right. So
I
so
agree.
we
Sure.
we talk about things like this where it's like, create like trying to be creative,
Yeah.
trying to stay focused.
Yep.
So it's like it's one of those things where every now and then it'll make me sit there and say like, okay, let me pick this up and do this. And I'm sitting there playing around in Procreate, and it's like shutting that background noise off that says, okay, so what if I make this here, make this here, make this here? It's like I'm creating, but it's also I'm troubleshooting things, and I'm focusing on not telling myself that what I'm doing is not trying to pull a wool over someone's eyes, right?
Right. Right.
So because like there are times when like I remember just going places or like going to like art shows and things and seeing some of the things people would make, and then someone would like the price they would put on that things, and that's like, well, that's just ridiculous. But then it's just like I get it, but then also yeah, but then there are people, and so then it's like not me being overcritical, but then it's just like I couldn't see myself doing that because my conscience wouldn't allow me
Yeah.
to do that to someone.
See that, and I think
Like
that's where you're looking at. Like you're looking at screwing this person over by pricing it too high, and you're pulling one over, like you
well,
said on them.
not even that. But it's just like I always tell people the story. Like as artists, I always say I can take a piece of paper, draw a circle, put two lines through the circle,
Yeah,
put my signature on it, throw it in the frame, and that's a piece of art,
it is.
right? I mean, that's a piece of art.
Yeah,
And then, like when I first graduated from college, I could also sit there and say, this is a piece of artwork from a an artist who went to a private art school,
yeah,
who
right.
also,
You can say that. It's
taught
true.
himself, got himself into a private art school, and he graduated. So
Yeah,
kind of a big deal.
because I kind of think, yeah, if you don't value your art, nobody else is going
Right,
to.
right.
And I think now I am right with you because I do the same thing. Like it's hard for me to keep in mind that what I do is valuable. What I bring to the table is it's hard for us as people to be like, yeah, this is something because I don't know. I feel like it's part of the classism in our society. Like
Mhm.
those of us who didn't grow up with everything, it's hard for us to see us have value. Like we
But
have
then,
value too, you know?
on the flip side of that, there are some people who are inherently snake oil salespeople,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
So
But
it's
just the
like
fact that you're aware
they,
of that and
yeah.
cognizant of it makes me feel like you wouldn't be that. You won't become that because
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, so no worries there.
Dude, like the last time we was at Heroes Con,
Yeah.
I remember going up and when I got my Bitterroot trade paperback, and I got the artist and one of the writers both to sign it, and I only paid $10, right? I
Yeah.
felt like I cheated them.
You felt
But it
like
was
you cheated
just
them. Yeah. Okay.
right. But it was just like how when I like, can I get one? And like, sure. I like, can I get a sign? Like, no problem. And they just signed it like no problem. It was like
And
it
that's who
wasn't
you
even
would
like
be. That's the
right,
artist you would
right.
be.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't like and not saying and I'm not saying you shouldn't charge. But it was
Right.
just like that that kind of I want to say humbleness,
Right.
but it was like even 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 if they do charge, because like just look at our experience with the great Larry Hama, right? It
Yeah.
was just like how we walked up, hey, well, I walked up and peer pressured you in.
Yeah, that's right. You made me come up. He didn't sign anything for us, though, did he?
He didn't. But
we
it was
didn't
just
ask him to.
it's just one of those things where it's like, that kind of world. You know, he has that honest Abe feeling about him.
Yeah. He's just got to. You can really feel it with people a lot of times. I think, like, if they're a genuine person or if they're even somebody who's an asshole that's a celebrity. Like, sometimes they have a bad day, and I think even that's sometimes sensible. You can sense that. But so that's already been 30. That's already been 30 minutes, and I don't know if that was nerdy, but we talked art. We talked to show.
I think it was nerdy.
Yeah, we was definitely nerdy. Talk about your artistic visual artists. To me, I'm jealous because I wish I could do it. I think I can dabble a little bit, but it's a skill I wish I had.
I always tell people everyone can do it.
Yeah. I mean, I can draw a little bit, but not good. But it's fun. I like to do it.
Especially kids. Kids are great artists because one, they don't overthink.
Yeah.
And then they have like this mind where it's like they see better than we do.
Yeah.
So, you know, they can visualize everything and they don't listen to those inner critics in their head. They just go with it.
Yeah, you're right. Well, and now I think I'm starting to empathize with it because in my head I'm thinking just the thought of sitting down to draw something. I don't think I have the patience to sit still and do that, and not turn on the TV and watch a show or start editing another podcast.
You can do that while you're doing it. It's just that it's that whole like, is it good? Nope. And then it's like, it's not like there have been times I was at work and I would be drawing something.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it, so I'm balled up, throw it away. So like, oh, that's good. Like, yeah, but I don't like the way it looks. Ball it up, throw it away.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ball it up, throw it away. You know. It's that key to wanting to be perfect, even though it's not perfect, but you're looking for, like, your brain is always looking for perfection in your eyes. You know, you don't give a shit if someone else says it's perfect.
Yep. Yep. Well, that's cool. Now I want to see what you make. I think if you drew a circle with 2 lines in it, it'd probably be a really cool circle with 2 lines in it. What about?
It'll be a Death Star.
Yeah. See, like, I get obsessed with all these stupid like action figures and stuff behind me. Like, I want to mix worlds of media. Like, I don't know, Star Wars and Marvel things, but secondary characters. Like, I want Laverne and Shirley to be on the backs of the motorcycles of John and Ponch. You know, like, I want that as a painting. Like, that doesn't exist because those worlds don't. You know, just random shit like that. The Perfect Strangers. Oh, by the way, what did you think of the last Deborah Jo Rupp episode?
Oh, it was pretty freaking awesome. It was awesome. I like the previously on aspect of it too.
Yeah, since you guys told me to do that, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to try that. And it wasn't as hard as I thought.
A lot of sense.
Yeah, that way everybody kind of gets what we're talking about. But yeah, cool. Well, that was 30.
Yeah. About the president no more, but evidently they don't see we in the streets still poor, still more incarceration of my kinsmen by the prisons, and people thinking this election to end it race.
The Nerd School Podcast is a product of History for Jerks and a member of the Queen City Podcast Network. Find out more about History for Jerks at historyforjerks.com.
History for Jerks, you're the jerk, we bring back history, motherfucker.